Hello, my dear students. Myself, Dr. Pitambar Humne, founder Botany for You, and working as Associate Professor and Head Department of Botany, Dharampet MP Dev Memorial Science College, Nagpur, Maharashtra, India. I welcome you all in this online platform for the students of Life Sciences Botany for You. Today, we will see the next lecture in this series of MCQ lectures in Botany for semester 4 BSc Botany RTM Nagpur University Nagpur. In this unit, the syllabus is from again plant anatomy. So, first of all, we will see the syllabus of this unit. In this third unit of this paper, we have the syllabus which includes the periderm, then growth rings, sapwood and heartwood. In second topic, that is secondary growth, the example is given as a sunflower stem. Then anomalous secondary growth, that is in the Bignonia from the dicotyledons and Dracena from the monocotyledon. Then anatomy of leaf, from the dicot we have the example of the nerium leaf, and second one from the monocot, that is a maize leaf. And the last topic in this unit is senescence and abscission of leaves. So friends, if you are new or not yet subscribed our YouTube channel, then kindly like, share and subscribe our YouTube channel Botany for You, so that you can get alerts of every lecture to be uploaded on this YouTube channel. So let's see the different MCQs based upon this unit. Question number 1, that is the waxy substance associated with the cell wall of cork cell is. So we should remember that there is a presence of or the deposition of sebarin on the cell wall of the cork cells. Then which of the following gives rise to the cork tissue? If we see the secondary growth in the dicotyledons, then there are the two different sites where the secondary growth is carried out. One with the help of vascular cambium and second one with the help of cork cambium. So this cork is developed by the activity of cork cambium, and this cork cambium is also known as phyllogen, and hence the phyllogen becomes the answer for this question. The age of the tree can be determined by, if you see the any plant and if you see the wood of this plant, then we find such type of the rings, and these rings are known as the annual rings. With the help of these different rings which are annually formed during the secondary growth of the plant body, we can easily identify the age of the plant, and hence counting the number of annual rings is one of the best method to find out the age of the tree, and hence B is the answer for this question. Then cork cambium and vascular cambium are, I have already told you that the cork cambium is responsible for the formation of the periderm, and the vascular cambium is responsible for the addition of new tissues in the form of secondary phloem and secondary xylem. So if you see these two, they are the examples of the lateral meristems, as they are responsible for the lateral growth of the plant body, that after secondary growth there is an increase in the girth of the stem or the root, and hence lateral meristem become the answer for this question. Then monocot leaves possesses which of the following meristems? If we see the monocot leaves which are developing from the stem, and if we see these development of the leaves, they are developing from the intercalary meristems, and such type of the lateral meristem, which is the characteristic feature of the dicotyledon, is usually found to be absent in the monocot, and the apical meristem is present in the apices of the root and the stem, and hence the correct answer for this question becomes intercalary meristems. Then what is true about monocot leaves? If we see the monocot and the dicotyledons, then there is a distinct difference in between them. That the dicot leaf is known as dorsiventral leaf and the monocot leaf is known as the isobilateral leaf. So if we see the monocot leaf, then there is a presence of the parallel venation. So this is the correct, and the reticulate type of the venation in the dicotyledon. Then presence of bulliform cells in the epidermis, this is also the characteristic feature of the monocotyledon. Such type of the bulliform cells are found to be absent in the dicot leaf. Then mesophyll cells not differentiated into palisade and the spongy parenchyma. But in the dicotyledon, there is a differentiation of the mesophylls into palisade and the spongy parenchyma. So again, this is a characteristic feature of the monocot leaf, and hence all these three characters belongs to the monocot leaf, and hence all the above becomes the answer for this question. Then abnormal or anomalous secondary growth occurs in, we have the example, that is the Dracaena, sunflower, nerium and maize root. In Dracaena stem, there is a anomalous secondary growth. In sunflower, there is a normal secondary growth. In leaf, there is no secondary growth, and in maize root, there is no secondary growth. So the anomalous secondary growth is present in the Dracaena stem, and hence it becomes the answer. Then periderm is produced by, as earlier we have seen, the cork cambium is responsible for the formation of the periderm, and this cork cambium is also known as the phyllogen, and hence the phyllogen becomes the answer for this question. The fascicular cambium or the vascular cambium, both are the same, and they are responsible for the secondary xylem and secondary phloem. Even the intrafascicular cambium, that is also one of the example of the fascicular or the vascular cambium. Then, as a tree grows older, which of the following increases more rapidly in thickness? So if we see the trees, and if you see the older trees, then there is an increase in the wood in the stem, and this wood in an older plant or the trees, it is hardwood, and hence the maximum thickness of the wood, that is the hardwood, is present in the older trees when they are growing, and hence it becomes the answer. The periderm includes, so if you see the periderm is made up of three different parts, that is the cork, then cork cambium and secondary cortex, or in other words we can say the cork is also known as the phylum, cork cambium is also known as the phyllogen, and the secondary cortex is known as the phylloderm. So either we can give these three names or these three names for the periderm. So out of that we have now the cork. So it becomes now the answer for this question. In woody dicotyledonous trees, which of the following parts will mainly consist of primary tissues? If you see the trees, after few days after its growth, there is a development of the secondary tissues in the stem as well as the root, and hence the root and the stem in the woody dicotyledons always possess the secondary tissues. But if you see the flowers, fruits or the leaves, it contain always primary tissue, as they do not carry out the process of the secondary growth, and hence it becomes the answer for this question. Then another name of the phylogeny is, as we have seen here, the phylogeny is nothing but the cork cambium, and hence the cork cambium becomes the answer for this question. The sapwood is synonymous with. So if we see the sapwood and the heartwood is a innermost layer and the sapwood is a outermost layer of the secondary xylem, and hence the outer layer of secondary xylem is also known as the sapwood, and hence it is a answer. Then anomalous secondary growth found in. Earlier we have seen that there is a anomalous secondary growth in the Dracaena as it is a monocot, but there is a development of the cambium which is responsible for the addition of the new vascular bundles. In the similar manner, in the Bignonia, which is climber, and dicotyledon also shows the anomalous secondary growth, because in the Bignonia there is a formation of phloem wedges, and these phloem wedges are formed because of the unequal activity of the cambium, that is also known as anomalous activity of the cambium, and hence in both, that is Dracaena and the Bignonia, there is a anomalous secondary growth, and hence both A and B become the answer for this question. Then duramen is the tissue or the secondary xylem which has the durability, and if we see the secondary xylem or the wood having the durability, and that is the heartwood. So in the upcoming question we will also see that why the heartwood is durable. The annual rings are found in plants belonging to. If you see the different type of the plants which are growing in the different regions, so the most prominent annual rings that can be easily counted are found in the temperate areas, and this type of the annual rings are present in the temperate areas because of the seasonal changes. Then the desert grasses often roll their leaves due to presence of. If you see, the rolling of the leaves is just to reduce the rate of the transpiration, and this is carried out by the desert grasses very commonly because of the less availability of the water in the deserts, and for this there are the presence of special type of the cells in the epidermal region of the monocot, and that is known as the bulliform cells, and hence the bulliform cells become the answer for this question. Then which of the following is collectively known as periderm? Last time we have seen that the phylogeny, phylum and phylloderm, or the phylogeny, that is the cork cambium, then phylum, that is known as the cork, and phylloderm, that is the secondary cortex. All these together considered as a periderm, and hence all the above become the answer for this question. Then cork cambium in a dicot root is derived from. You should remember this, that the cork cambium in the dicot root is always derived or develops from the pericycle, and hence it is the answer. Major part of annual rings is formed by. If you see the annual rings, then the most of the part is made up of spring wood, and very small amount or the small part is made up of the autumn wood, and hence the spring wood become the answer for this question. Then autumn wood is present at the annual ring. So if we see the annual rings in the wood, then we will find that here at the end or the outer side there is a presence of the autumn wood, and hence at the end there is a presence of the autumn wood, and hence the end, that is the C, will be the answer for this question. Then which of the following is durable? So as the heartwood is durable because it is filled with the different components like the tannin, resin and the gums, and hence the heartwood become the answer for this question. So let's see in the next question that in older stem the major part of the wood is filled with, and that is it contains the tannins, it contains the resins and it contains the gums, and because of this here it becomes now the durable, and hence all the above become the answer for this question, in which the older stem that the major part of the wood is filled with. Then the age of the tree can be identified by counting the annual rings is called as. Last time in question we have already seen this one, but what is the study that we are doing in such type of the counting? So we have to remember that such type of the study is known as the dendrochronology, in which we can easily identify the age of the plant body by counting the annual rings. Then hardwood and softwood both are forms of. If you see the hardwood or the softwood, whenever we are talking about the wood, just you have to remember that it is a part of the xylem. And if we see the formation of the wood, that is nothing but the secondary structure which is formed by the activity of the cambium, that is the secondary growth, and hence both are the examples of the secondary xylem. The phloem is not the part of the wood, while primary xylem is present just initially, but later on the large number of the xylem which is formed by the activity of the fascicular cambium, and that is known as the secondary xylem, and hence the hardwood and the softwood both are the forms of the secondary xylem. Then hardwood differ from the sapwood in. So if you see the presence of the rays and the fibers both are present in the hardwood and the sapwood. Then absence of the vessels and the parenchyma, this is wrong one. Then having the dead and the non-conducting elements because of the deposition of the tannins, resins, gums, etc. And hence it is the correct one. Being susceptible to the pest and the pathogen, it is resistant to the pest and the pathogens because of the presence of the tannins and the resins, and hence again it is the wrong one, and hence the correct answer for this question becomes the C, that is having the dead and the non-conducting elements. Then sapwood consists of, if you see the sapwood, then innermost annual rings around the pith. So actually this is the hardwood. Then portion of timber between the hardwood and cambium layer, that is the outer layer of the wood, and hence it is the correct one. Then thin layer below the bark, so that is the cambium. Then thin fiber which extend from the pith towards and hold the annual rings together, these are the medullary rays or the pith rays, again it is not the part of the sapwood, and hence the correct answer for the sapwood becomes that the portion of the timber between hardwood and cambium layer. Then growth that increase the girth and thickness of the plant is known as or called as. So this type of the growth which is carried out in the dicotyledons commonly, and that is known as the secondary growth. As we have seen earlier, the secondary growth is carried out in the stellar region by the activity of the fascicular cambium, and to the outer side for the formation of the periderm, that is by the cork cambium. So these two different type of the cambiums are responsible for the increase in the girth or the thickness of the plants. Then the secondary growth in dicot root takes place both in stellar and extrastellar bile. So just we have to remember that in a stellar region there is a fascicular cambium or the activity of the fascicular cambium. Fascicular cambium is also known as the vascular cambium, and the extrastellar secondary growth is carried out by the phylogeny, or it is also known as the cork cambium. So we have to see this in the answer. So the cork cambium only, no. Then vascular cambium, yes, vascular cambium, and cork cambium, yes. So the second one becomes the answer. Third, cork cambium and vascular cambium, this is the reverse because stellar is a vascular cambium and extrastellar is a cork cambium. So B becomes the answer for this question. Then cambium produces secondary xylem and secondary phloem. So when we have to see the dicot stem in which the vascular bundles are present in a ring, and there is a presence of cambium in between the phloem and the xylem. So if we keep one vascular bundle outside, so here this is the layer of cambium or the vascular cambium or fascicular cambium. This is the phloem side and this is the xylem side. This is outer side and this is the inner side. So if you see the secondary xylem, then secondary xylem is formed to the inner side and secondary phloem is formed to the outer side. So inside and outside, that is B1 become the answer for this question. Then vascular cambium becomes meristematic in dicot stem and form a new secondary meristems called as. So if we see this dicot stem in which there is a presence of the vascular bundles in a ring, and each vascular bundle possesses its cambium in the form of intrafascicular cambium. But during the secondary growth, there is a lateral growth of this intrafascicular cambium, and later on there is a formation of the cambium ring. So this cambium which is later on developed, that is known as the interfascicular cambium. So such type of the interfascicular cambium is developed from the fascicular or the intrafascicular cambium, and hence the interfascicular cambium become the answer for this question. Then cells of cambium in dicot stem divides during secondary growth. If you see the plane of the division in the cambium cells which are responsible for the increase in the diameter or the girth. So this diameter or the girth of the plant body is increased by such type of the periclinal divisions in the complete cambium ring, so that there is a formation of secondary phloem to the outer side and secondary xylem to the inside, and hence the periclinal division becomes the correct answer. Then aerating pores found in the bark of stem of dicot plants are called as. If you see the plants after the secondary growth in the dicotyledon, there is a formation of such type of the aerating pores. and these irritating pores on the stem of the dicot are known as the lenticels. Hydathodes are known as the water stomata and they are present in the leaves at the vein endings, and plasmodesmata, they are connections in between the two cells, and stomata are present on the leaves or the stem for the gaseous exchange. So, if you see the woody stem, then there are the presence of the lenticels and hence it becomes the answer. Then cork cambium gives rise to. After the activity of the cork cambium, there is a formation of cork and secondary cortex. So, we will have the answer, that is either there is a formation of cork and secondary cortex. In other words, the cork is known as the phylum and the secondary cortex is known as the phylloderm. So, if you see the cork cambium itself is a phyllogen. So, this is again phyllogen, then phyllogen. So, the cork cambium, hence it becomes now the wrong one because it is responsible for the formation of phylum and the phylloderm, and hence we have the cork and secondary cortex, that is the cork and secondary cortex, which is also known as the phylum and the phylloderm, which are formed by the activity of the cork cambium or the phyllogen, and hence C becomes correct answer for this question. The vascular cambium ring develops as a circular ring since beginning in the dicot, but in a dicot root it is. So, if you see this one, circular ring since beginning in the dicot stem, but in the dicot root it is. If you see the vascular bundle types of the dicot root and dicot stem, there is a distinct difference. So, in a dicot root, the vascular bundles are radial. That suppose now this is a xylem triarch condition, and in the stem the vascular bundles are present in a ring, and hence here the cambium forms ring in the beginning in the stem, but here it will be formed in such a manner. So, this will be the initial cambium ring, and hence it becomes wavy in the beginning and later on circular, and hence it becomes answer. The circular in the beginning, these are the characteristic features of the dicot stem, while the wavy is a characteristic feature of the root. The vascular rays are narrow in dicot stem, while in the dicot root they are. If you see this difference in between the vascular rays, which are also known as pith rays or the medullary rays. So, in the root, these rays are found wider in the beginning. So, hence it is a correct answer for this question. Then match the following pairs. So, if you see the sunflower stem, then maize stem, Dracaena stem and Bignonia stem. So, sunflower stem which undergo the normal secondary growth, and hence it becomes the answer. Then maize stem, no secondary growth. Then Dracaena stem, here it is a monocotyledon, hence no presence of the or absence of the cambium, but later on there is a development of the cambium and hence anomalous position of the cambium. And in a Bignonia there is a formation of the phloem wedges because of the unequal activity of the cambium, that is known as the anomalous activity of the cambium, and in this way there will the formation of the pairing in between these different characters. Then which of the following pairs are correct? If you see this sunflower leaf it is a dorsiventral. This is correct one. It is a characteristic feature of the dicot. Then maize leaf, it is isobilateral leaf, which is the characteristic feature of the monocot. Again correct one. Then nerium leaf, which is the dicot leaf and having the multi-layered epidermis and presence of the hairs in the stomata, which are the xerophytic characteristics, and hence it is also the correct one. And hence all the above become the answer for this question. Then which of the following statement is true? So number 1, that is the cambium is present in the absent in monocot stem, but sometimes develops for the secondary growth. Here we can take an example of the Dracaena. So in Dracaena, as it is monocot, but there is a development of the cambium, and hence it becomes now the correct. Then second one, that is the cambium is present in the dicot stem, which is the characteristic feature of the dicotyledon, that it undergo the secondary growth, and hence both the statements are the correct or the true. Then presence of hairs in the stomata and multi-layered epidermis is the characteristic feature of. Just in the last question, we have seen that in the nerium leaf there is a presence of multi-layered epidermis and presence of the hairs in the stomata, which show the xerophytic nature, and hence the nerium leaf become the answer for this question. Then which of the following leaf is known as dorsiventral leaf? The dorsiventral leaf is a dicot leaf. If we see the sunflower, it is a dicot. Then nerium, it is also the dicot, and hence as both are the dicotyledon, both will contain the dorsiventral leaf, and hence both A and B become the answer for this question. In monocot leaves, that is the stomata are present on both the surfaces. In monocot leaves, as we have seen, that isobilateral leaf. Iso means same, bi means sides, bi means two, and lateral means side. So if we see this leaf from both the sides, from the dorsal or the ventral side, we will see it is a same, and because of the presence of the stomata on both the sides, as well as because of not a differentiated the mesophyll cell into the palisade and the spongy parenchyma, and hence stomata are present on both the surfaces in the monocot leaf, which is the correct answer. Stomata are present only on the dorsal side, which is usually found in the aquatic plant like the lotus, and stomata are present only on the ventral side, which is the characteristic feature of the dicotyledons, and hence A is the correct answer for this question. Then mesophyll is differentiated into palisade tissue and spongy parenchyma in. So such type of the differentiation is responsible for the formation of the dorsiventral leaf, or it is present in the dorsiventral. Dorsi and ventral means there are the two different sides that can be identified as a dorsal and the ventral one. So that is because of the presence of the palisade tissue on the one side and spongy tissue on the another side, and hence as it is a characteristic feature of the dicot, and sunflower and the nerium both are the dicotyledons, and hence both A and B become the answer for this question, while in the maize the leaf is isobilateral and there is no differentiation of the palisade tissue and spongy. Then outward layers of the cortex give birth to the cork cambium in the dicot stem. We should remember this one. While in the dicot root, here give birth to the cork cambium. The similar type of the question we have seen earlier, that in the dicot root there is a development of the cork cambium or phylogeny by the pericycle, and hence the pericycle becomes the answer for this question. Then identify the plant parts whose transverse section show a prominent pith. So you should remember these different structures. Say for example, if we see, this is the stem of the dicot, that is dicot stem. This is monocot stem. This is dicot root, and this is monocot root. As the vascular bundles are present in a ring in the dicot stem and the scattered vascular bundles in the monocot stem. So here there is a presence of pith in the dicot stem, then no pith in the monocot stem. Again we have to reverse the condition, that is no pith, and here no pith, here presence of the pith in the monocot root. So if we see this one, that the section show the prominent pith. So prominent pith is present in the dicot stem and the monocot root. So it becomes now the D, that is the dicot stem and the monocot root in which the prominent pith is present in the center. Between the bark and wood, in a woody stem there is layer of meristem called as. If you see this type of the condition in the stem, so if this is a vascular cambium, inside it there will be presence of the xylem, that is known as the wood. Few phloem and then presence of the perider. So this complete part is considered as a bark. So if you see the bark and wood, here in between them there is a presence of vascular cambium, and hence it becomes the answer for this question. Then secondary growth is absent in. So if we see the sunflower, then there is a presence of the secondary growth, that it is a dicot, normal secondary growth. Dracena is monocot, but anomalous secondary growth is present. Then in maize there is a absence of the secondary growth, and in bignonia there is a again anomalous secondary growth. So no secondary growth, that is absence of the secondary growth in the maize, and hence it is the answer. The term wood refers to, in last time we have seen in the sapwood and the heartwood that both are the examples of the secondary xylem, and hence the wood is nothing but the secondary xylem which is formed by the activity of the vascular cambium, and hence it becomes the answer for this question. Then heartwood is, if you see the heartwood and the sapwood, then the heartwood is the inner part of the secondary xylem and the sapwood is a outer part of the secondary xylem, and hence here the phloem is not the wood, and hence they are the wrong one. So outer part and inner part we have. So outer part is the sapwood and the inner part is a heartwood. So the C becomes answer for this question. Then which among the following described bark? So if you see the bark, just we have seen that the wood which is present in the center, which is formed by the activity of the cambium. So this is the cambium or the vascular cambium, and the everything which is present outside to this vascular cambium, that is considered as a bark, and hence everything outside vascular cambium including secondary phloem, that is responsible for the formation of the bark, and hence it becomes the answer. Then match the following pairs. So if you see these sunflower stem, nerium leaf, then maize leaf and Dracaena stem. So the presence of multilayered epidermis that we have seen, which is the characteristic feature of the nerium leaf. Bulliform cell is a characteristic of the monocot leaf, which is the maize leaf. Then pith is present in the dicot stem, that is the sunflower, and pith is absent in the monocot stem as the vascular bundles are scattered, and hence now they are the correctly paired. The deteriorative processes that naturally terminate their functional life are collectively called as. This is the last topic from the unit, that is senescence and the abscission. So such type of the deteriorative processes in the plants are commonly called as the senescence. Then the senescence, in which the above ground part of the plant die and underground part remain viable, is called as. If you see the plants like the Nishigandha, lily, etc., so they are growing above the ground and later on flowers. But at the base inside the ground there is a presence of the rhizome. So after some time, when there is a high temperature, the above ground part dry completely and underground part remain present. Again later on reaching the favorable condition, there is a development of the new leaves above the ground. So such type of the senescence is known as the top senescence. If we see the overall senescence means to dry the complete plant including the underground part, that is in case of the annual plants. Then deciduous senescence means to fall the leaves in the particular season like the deciduous trees. So top senescence becomes the answer for this question. Then which of the following shows best example of monocarpic senescence? Monocarpic senescence means after the reproduction, once in a lifetime, the complete plant body is deteriorated and die. So such a type of the process is very commonly found in the bamboo, and hence the bamboo is the plant which shows the monocarpic type of the senescence, as after the flowering in the bamboo it completely dry because of the deteriorative processes and it will die. The process in which all the leaves are shed off is called as. This is very routine process in case of the deciduous trees, in which at a particular season there is a shedding of all the leaves, and this type of the senescence is known as the deciduous type of the senescence. Then premature leaf fall or detachment of leaves or leaf fall is also known as. Just you have to remember the premature leaf fall. Such type of the processes in the plants is known as the abscission layer, which is carried out by the formation of the abscission zone. Then which of the following hormone is used to suppress the abscission? Means if that hormone is present, there is a reduction in the activity of the abscission. So the indole acetic acid, that is the auxin, which is responsible to suppress or to avoid the process of the abscission, and hence it becomes the answer for this question. Then besides auxin, that is indole acetic acid, which of the following phytohormone has generally promotory role in the abscission? So if you see the promotory role of the hormone, that is the ethylene. So this ethylene is responsible to promote the activity of the abscission in the plants. Then which of the following statement is true in relation to the abscission? So the increased concentration of auxin decline the abscission. So this is the wrong one, as it is responsible to promote the abscission. Then decreased concentration of auxin promote the abscission. This is somewhat correct. Then relative concentration of auxin on two sides of abscission zone promote the abscission, and this is the correct one, because this abscission is nothing but the separation or the leaf fall. So this is one of the proximal side and this is the distal side. So the relative concentration on the proximal and the distal side of the auxin determine the process of the abscission, and hence this is the correct answer. Then which of the following hormones are used in deterioration process in the senescence? So the senescence is promoted by the abscisic acid, that is the ABA, and also ethylene, and hence both A and B becomes the answer for this question. So friends, today in this class we have finished the 60 different possible questions that may asked in the upcoming examinations conducted by the university. I am hopeful and confident that this lecture will be helpful to you in your online examinations. If you like this lecture, then kindly like, share and subscribe our YouTube channel Botany for You, and also press bell icon for the alerts of every lecture to be uploaded on our YouTube channel. Thanks a lot once again.